When Kareem Tolliver walked through the front doors of Millstone High in Lansing, Michigan, no one paid him much attention. There was no welcoming committee, no whispered curiosity, no group of students turning to watch the new kid. Just the quiet shuffle of feet on polished tile floors and the indifferent chatter of a Monday morning already in motion. Halfway through the semester, transfer students weren't exactly rare. And Kareem, he didn't try to stand out. His backpack was scuffed, his hoodie faded at the edges, and he walked with the kind of silent precision that came from learning, maybe the hard way, that reading a room was often more valuable than being heard in it. The bell shrieked through the halls as Kareem paused at his locker, scanning the crowd. He didn't look nervous, but there was caution in the way his eyes moved, taking in everything without settling on anything. It was how he'd learned to survive back in Detroit, by making himself small, invisible, unnoticed. Inside his first period math class, the teacher barely acknowledged him, gesturing toward an empty seat in the back. A few kids turned their heads, a girl near the window whispered something behind her hand, but otherwise, Kareem may as well have been a shadow on the wall. He took his seat quietly and pulled out a notebook. He didn't expect anything else. In Detroit, silence was its own kind of safety. You didn't wear bright colors or loud shoes. You didn't act like you had something to prove. You just moved invisible, like Uncle Reggie always said. Attention could get you robbed, or worse. But Millstone wasn't Detroit. Here, the halls were slick with privilege. Kids wore brand-name sneakers and designer jackets. Their laughs were loud, casual, confident. Kareem noticed the glances. How some looked at his shoes with thinly veiled contempt. How a kid in gym class wrinkled his nose at his thrift store hoodie like it reeked. He ate alone his third day, tray of spaghetti, a banana, and chocolate milk, at the last table in the cafeteria. It was peaceful, in its own way. Until the laugh came. "Yo, what is that? You bring that from home or something?" Kareem looked up. A tall white boy in a varsity jacket stood a few feet away, grinning with a kind of arrogance that needed no introduction. Brock Simmons. Football co-captain. Star tight end. The kind of guy who thought popularity gave him the right to say whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Two other guys flanked him, smirking like backup singers to a bad joke. "Man's eating like it's the Great Depression," Brock said louder, making sure nearby tables could hear. Laughter followed, sharp, scattered, and mean. Kareem didn't respond. He kept eating. Eyes down. "Come." One of Brock's friends, shorter, stockier, leaned closer. "You hear me, man? You deaf or just slow?" Kareem blinked once, then stood up slowly, took his milk, and said quietly, "I'm done." He walked away. No insults. No scene. Just gone. Later that day, someone knocked his books off his desk in science class. The teacher didn't see. No one claimed it. That night, someone scrawled "charity case" on his locker in dry erase marker. It wiped off easy. But it left a mark that went deeper than the surface. After school, Kareem took the number 12 bus to the edge of town, where his uncle's gym sat tucked behind a tire shop. The smell of sweat, old leather, and liniment oil greeted him before the bell above the door even rang. Inside, Uncle Reggie was taping up a young fighter's wrists. He looked up briefly. "You all right?" Kareem shrugged. "Just school." Reggie didn't push. He just nodded toward the mats. "Let it out. That's what they're for." Kareem didn't speak again. He changed, stepped onto the mat, and hit the pads like they owed him money. Hooks, counters, pivots, clean and fast. Every strike was controlled, disciplined, precise. Reggie had taught him that fighting wasn't about rage. It was about clarity. About knowing when to swing and when to walk away. But the cafeteria moment? That was supposed to be nothing. A dumb joke. A forgettable taunt. Yet something about Kareem's calm reaction rubbed Brock Simmons the wrong way. He didn't flinch. He didn't fire back. He just walked away. And that bothered Brock more than any insult could have. By Friday, Kareem's name was bouncing through the locker rooms like static. New kid thinks he's better than everybody. Doesn't talk, just stares. Creepy. In gym class, Coach Rollins paired Kareem with Brock for basketball drills. Brock threw the ball hard, too hard, at Kareem's chest. "Come on, Tolliver. Show me what you got." Kareem caught it. Bounced it twice. "We just passing, right?" "Yeah," Brock said, grinning like a dog with a bone. When Kareem passed the ball back, it smacked into Brock's chest with a sharp thunk that echoed in the gym. Brock blinked. The other guys chuckled. Someone muttered, "Dang." That's when Brock decided he didn't like Kareem. Not because he was new. Not because he was quiet. But because he couldn't be intimidated. It got worse. Snide remarks in the hallway. Gum in his locker. A foot stuck out to trip him near the vending machines. Kareem never reacted. Never tattled. Never swung. But in a place like Millstone, silence was gasoline, and Brock had a match. Lunchtime turned into a theater. Brock would shout loud jokes from across the room. "You from Detroit, right? You bring your bulletproof vest or leave it at home." More laughter. More stares. Kareem said nothing. Just kept eating. One of Brock's lackeys, Logan Ferris, leaned in. "Dude, I think he might actually be crazy. Look at him. Doesn't even blink." "He's not crazy," Brock said, smirking. "He's just another hood story waiting to happen." That one hit different. It crawled under Kareem's skin. After school, he walked faster than usual to the bus stop. He'd seen this before. He knew how things escalated. At home, Uncle Reggie watched him fidget through dinner. "You holding something back?" he asked quietly. Kareem nodded. "Sometimes," Reggie said, "holding back is harder than swinging. But you ain't there to teach these kids a lesson. You're there to graduate. Build something." Kareem looked down. "Yeah. But if someone backs you into a corner," Reggie added, "you don't let him walk over you neither." The next day, rumors bloomed like weeds. That Kareem had been kicked out of his old school. That he had a criminal record. That he'd fought a teacher in 8th grade. None of it was true. But no one cared. In history class, Brock leaned over. "You ever seen a real fight, Tolliver?" Kareem didn't turn. Up close. Blood on the floor. Kareem finally glanced at him. "You don't want that kind." Brock smiled. "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning." The smile faded. The next day, Brock made his move. Kareem was walking behind the gym, heading for the late buses. Headphones in. Backpack slung low. Brock and his two friends followed silently. "Yo, Tolliver." Kareem turned. One earbud out. "What? You think you're tough?" "No," Kareem said. "I act like I want to be left alone." "You don't get to choose that." Kareem's shoulders tensed. "You done?" "Not yet." Behind them, the school day was ending. Halls spilled with students. But this corner of the campus stayed quiet. Brock didn't know what he was pressing on. He thought he was poking a quiet kid. But what he didn't realize, what no one realized, was that Kareem had been trained not to snap, but to strike. And when the moment came, it would take less than 15 seconds for everything to change. Tyler stood in the center of the hallway, frozen. His ears still rang with the echo of that slap. It wasn't the sting on his cheek that shook him, it was the fact that it came from his own father, in front of half the school. His mind whirled with confusion, pain, and disbelief. Students whispered in shocked tones around him, their eyes darting between him and the exit his father had just stormed out of. He didn't even notice when Maya approached until she touched his arm. "Tyler," she said softly, her voice trembling with concern. But he didn't respond. He pulled away and walked down the hall, ignoring the stares, the murmurs, the judgment. He just needed to breathe. That night, Tyler didn't go home. He rode the city bus until the streets blurred into darkness, until the lights of the city became just shapes and shadows. Eventually, he found himself at a 24-hour diner, sipping cheap coffee, watching time pass without feeling its weight. When he finally returned home, the house was silent. His father's car was gone. On the kitchen table was a note in bold, angry handwriting. "When you're ready to act like my son, come talk to me." Tyler crumpled the paper and let it fall to the floor. The next few weeks at school were brutal. Not because anyone teased him, no one dared, but because of the silence. The heavy, uncomfortable silence. Teachers looked at him with pity. Students avoided his eyes. Even the staff acted like he was made of glass. And Maya, she was always there, trying to be close, but he had pulled back. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know how to process what had happened. One afternoon, as he sat alone under the bleachers behind the football field, Maya found him again. She didn't say anything at first. She just sat beside him, holding 2 sodas. He didn't touch his. After a long pause, he finally whispered, "Why'd he do it, Maya? Why humiliate me like that?" She sighed, turning the can in her hands. "Because he's scared. Scared of what he doesn't understand. Scared of losing control. He says I'm embarrassing him," Tyler muttered. "That I'm throwing away everything he worked for. That I'll never be respected." Maya turned to him, her eyes fierce. "Respect doesn't come from being someone you're not. It comes from standing up for who you are." Tyler looked at her then, really looked, and for the first time in weeks, he felt a flicker of something other than shame or confusion. Maybe it was strength. Maybe it was hope. But things didn't get easier. At the next parent-teacher night, his father showed up alone, stiff and cold. Tyler stood outside the classroom door and overheard everything. How his father blamed the school for encouraging bad influences, how he questioned Maya's role in his son's sudden identity crisis. One of the teachers defended Tyler, said he was thriving in his classes and showing leadership. But his father brushed it off. "He needs discipline, not indulgence," he said sharply. "This behavior ends now." When Tyler confronted him later, it turned into a screaming match in the school parking lot. His father's words cut like knives. "You're not the son I raised," he shouted. "You're weak, confused, lost. And maybe that's your fault," Tyler snapped back. "You raised me to be afraid. Afraid of myself. Afraid of disappointing you. But I'm done living in fear." That night, Tyler packed a bag and moved in with his aunt. She lived across town and barely had space, but she welcomed him with open arms. She was his mother's sister, his mother, who had passed away when he was 10. Unlike his father, she had always treated him with kindness. She didn't ask questions, didn't judge. She just gave him a room, a warm meal, and a place to breathe. At school, word got around fast. Most students didn't say anything, but a few began approaching Tyler, quietly, cautiously. One was a freshman who confided that he was gay and terrified to tell anyone. Another was a girl who had been hiding the fact that she was non-binary. Tyler listened to them all. He didn't have answers, but he had empathy. He understood. Maya and Tyler grew closer again. One day, after class, she handed him a flyer. "The school's putting on a talent show. I know it's not your thing, but maybe this is your moment to say something." He stared at the paper, then at her. "You really think anyone wants to hear what I have to say?" She smiled. "I do." Tyler signed up, not for a performance, but for a spoken word piece. It was raw, honest. He spent nights writing and rewriting it, pouring every ounce of pain, doubt, and strength into those lines. When the night of the show arrived, the auditorium was packed. Students, parents, teachers. Even the principal sat in the front row. Tyler stepped onto the stage, heart pounding. The lights blinded him at first, but then he saw Maya in the front row, giving him a thumbs up. He took a deep breath. This is for the boy who looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the eyes staring back. For the son who got slapped because his truth made someone else uncomfortable. For the students hiding behind masks, afraid to breathe. This is for every, "What if they find out?" and every, "What if they leave me?" As he spoke, the room grew silent. His voice wavered at times, but he never stopped. The poem wasn't just about being gay, it was about identity, shame, courage, and the fight to be seen. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. Some stood. Maya was crying. What Tyler didn't expect was to see his father in the back row. He hadn't noticed him walk in. He didn't clap. He just sat there, arms folded, face unreadable. After the show, as students and teachers congratulated Tyler, His father approached slowly. Tyler stiffened, expecting another confrontation. But instead, his father held out a folded piece of paper. "I wrote something," he said awkwardly. "I thought I'd come tonight. Listen. Maybe try." Tyler didn't take the paper at first. He stared at his father, uncertain. Then he slowly reached out and accepted it. His father nodded and walked away without another word. That night, in his aunt's small guest room, Tyler opened the note. It wasn't long. Just a few scribbled lines. "I don't understand everything. But I saw you tonight. Really saw you. And I'm trying." Tyler didn't cry. He just lay back, letting the weight of the words sink in. It wasn't a perfect apology. It wasn't enough to erase the hurt. But it was something. A beginning. Months passed. Tyler's relationship with his father remained strained but civil. They spoke occasionally. Sometimes over coffee. Sometimes not at all. But there was a new undercurrent, a sense that maybe, just maybe, healing was possible. Tyler became more active in school. He helped start a diversity alliance. He gave talks. He even mentored younger students who were struggling with their own identities. Maya stood beside him through it all. And one day, as he stood on the graduation stage, diploma in hand, he spotted his father in the crowd. This time, he was clapping. Not wildly. Not proudly. But genuinely. After the ceremony, his father approached. No grand gestures. Just a quiet, "You did good, son." Tyler smiled. "Thanks, Dad." It wasn't a fairy tale ending. But it was real. And for the first time in a long while, Tyler felt free. Not because the world had changed, but because he had. And that was enough. Sometimes, the greatest strength isn't in fighting others. It's in daring to be yourself when the world tells you not to. Tyler didn't just find his voice. He used it to spark change, to heal old wounds, and to inspire others hiding in silence. His journey wasn't easy, and it wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in the end, love didn't come from being who others wanted him to be. It came from standing tall in his truth, even when it hurt. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful real-life inspired stories that remind us, courage is contagious.